Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Tanner and I'm a project manager at CSA Group. I manage standards development projects and administer 3 US tags, 2 of which focus on critical minerals. And the main purpose of this presentation is to introduce our newly formed Binational Technical Committee on Critical Minerals and Materials for Specialty Technologies. I will begin with an overview of CSA Group, followed by a review of the standards areas we cover. I will also briefly discuss the standards development process and then provide an overview of W1030 and the significance of this committee for US stakeholders. Next slide. As a brief introduction into CSA Group, we are a not-for-profit member-based organization, and there are 2 main divisions within CSA Group. The Standards Development Organization, which focuses on standards development, research, and training, and the commercial side of the business, which provide testing, inspection, and certification services. CSA Group's mission is centered on advancing societal benefit through the development of consensus-based standards. CSA Group Standards Organization is accredited by the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, in the United States, and by the Standards Council of Canada, SCC, which is Canada's largest standards development organization. Next slide. We have been developing standards for over 100 years, and we are actively advancing standards across 14 areas of focus, including construction and infrastructure, environment and natural resources, electrical standards, occupational health and safety, and transit and passenger rail. We rely on over 11,000 dedicated volunteer members to develop more than 3,000 standards and codes, and we follow an accredited, balanced, consensus-based approach in the work that we do. Next slide. Each committee is required to have a balanced matrix. What this means is that committee membership is structured and maintained by category to support balanced representation. Each category is expressed with a minimum and maximum amount of voting members, which is defined in the terms of reference. Voting members in one category are never greater than the sum of the 2 smallest categories, and intent is to ensure that all points of view are heard. When we look at the natural resources sector specifically, we can expect standards development committees having representation from the owner, operator, producer interest category, which are those who represent the companies or organizations that have overall control and responsibility for critical minerals projects. The supplier, contractor, consultant interest category include those who are predominantly involved with supply of materials and/or services to the owner, operator, producer. And then we have the government and/or regulatory authority interest category, which includes individuals affiliated with government agencies, policy representatives, or those primarily involved in regulating the use of relevant products, materials, or services. And then we also have the general interest category, which shall include those who are not associated with production, supply, or regulation of the subject product, materials, or services. And this category may include representatives of academic interests, scientific interests, or non-governmental agencies. Next slide. And this slide shows the CSA standards lifecycle from project definition and drafting through consensus, public review, approval, and publication, followed by ongoing maintenance. The process is committee-driven with balanced stakeholder participation to ensure transparency and technical rigor at every stage. There is also a public review stage enabling broader stakeholder input before approval. While timelines vary, the average development time to create a standard is about 18 months, whereas an ISO adoption can typically be completed in 6 to 9 months. Next slide. Now I would like to discuss W1030, which is a newly formed binational technical committee established under CSA Group to support the development of standards related to critical minerals and materials use in specialty technologies. The committee brings together stakeholders from both the United States and Canada, creating a collaborative environment that reflects the interconnected nature of North American supply chains. Its primary purpose is to develop consensus-based, technology-neutral standards that can be used to evaluate, assess, and support emerging materials and technologies without favoring any single proprietary solution. This approach is especially important in fast-evolving sectors such as clean energy, advanced manufacturing, defense, and high-technology applications, where innovation often outpaces regulatory clarity. One area the W1030 could focus on is evaluation type standards that focus on establishing common criteria, testing methods, and performance benchmarks, rather than prescribing specific technologies or processes. This approach enables emerging technologies to be assessed consistently and compared on a high-level playing field, helping accelerate innovation and adoption. Importantly, these standards are performance-based and do not incorporate company-specific intellectual property or patented technologies, which helps protect proprietary information and encourages broad industry participation. The binational structure of W1030 plays an important strategic role in reducing regulatory fragmentation between US and Canada, while also allowing for flexibility in how standards are developed and applied. The committee can develop fully binational standards where alignment adds value, but it also supports the development of US-only or Canada-only standards where appropriate. In addition, standards may be adopted nationally with country-specific deviations when needed to address unique regulatory or market requirements. By promoting alignment where it makes sense, W1030 helps improve consistency, transparency, and predictability for organizations operating across borders while still respecting national differences. This strengthens supply chain resilience by supporting shared expectations around the quality, sustainability, and performance of critical minerals and materials. Sustainability considerations can also be integrated into the committee's work, including life cycle impacts and environmental and social responsibility, ensuring the standard supports not only innovation, but also the long-term responsible development. Overall, W1030 serves as a flexible and collaborative platform that enables innovation, strengthens alignment, and supports both binational and national priorities for stakeholders in critical minerals and specialty technologies. Next slide. This slide outlines the potential scope and impact of W1030 based on current discussions. The committee is being designed to align broadly with the scopes of ISO TC 298 rare earth, ISO TC 333 lithium, and ISO TC 345 materials for specialty technologies, ensuring consistency with international standards efforts in this space. Within that scope, W1030 may develop standards that define terminology, requirements, and guidance for critical minerals and materials. It may also support key sectors such as manufacturing, clean energy, defense, electronics, and advanced technology that rely on those materials. More broadly, the committee has the potential to enhance consistency, quality, and market confidence through the development of relevant standards, but ultimately the exact work program will be driven by committee members and stakeholder priorities. Next slide. A key part of the committee's work is the adoption of relevant ISO standards. Where international standards already exist and are suitable for North American use, W1030 will review and assess them for adoption through CSA. This helps avoid duplication of effort and promotes international consistency wherever possible. Second, the committee will also support the development of CSA and ANSI national standards in areas where no ISO standards exist or where international standards do not fully address regional needs. The committee can develop new national standards to fill those gaps. Finally, all of this work is approached with an emphasis on alignment with both international frameworks and North American regulatory needs. While the standards are voluntary, they are developed with an understanding of how they may be used to support procurement, market expectations, or potential incorporation by reference in the future. The overall goal is to create a coherent, complementary standards landscape that supports consistency, usability, and trust across borders. Next slide. W1030 can consider conformity assessment during standards development to help ensure that requirements are practical, testable, and verifiable where appropriate. Key considerations may include feasibility, cost, and scalability. While conformity assessment is not mandated, standards can be structured to support future certification or accreditation if there is market need. Conformity assessment doesn't happen with the committee itself. It would happen after the standard is published, but the committee can design the standard to enable it. For example, it could include test methods, define performance criteria or metrics, provide clear, measurable requirements, and together these elements help ensure that any future conformity assessment activities can be carried out consistently, credibly, and effectively across the industry. Next slide. And just to briefly explain how the standards development process works in practice, CSA Group follows a consensus-based and transparent standards development process where all stakeholders have the opportunity to contribute and provide input. The process typically begins with a proposal, followed by drafting, where the committee develops the content of standards, and that draft goes through a review and balloting to ensure it is balanced, practical, and reflects stakeholder feedback. And once published, standards are maintained and periodically revised to keep pace with evolving technologies and industry needs. Next slide. W1030 is designed to bring together a broad and balanced group of stakeholders from across the critical minerals value chain. This includes industry participants involved in mining, processing, manufacturing, who can provide practical and technical expertise. We also include government and regulatory representatives who help ensure alignment with policy priorities and regulatory considerations. In addition, US and Canadian standards experts play an important role on guiding the development process and ensuring consistency with existing standards frameworks. Overall, the goal is to create a collaborative and inclusive environment that reflects both technical expertise and diverse stakeholder perspectives. Next slide. Once the committee is fully formed, they will identify priority ISO standards for potential adoption. This includes reviewing existing international standards related to critical minerals and specialty materials, assessing their relevance and determining where adoption would add value for North American stakeholders. Second, W1030 would define gaps where new national standards may be needed. In cases where ISO standards do not exist or where regional needs are not fully addressed, the committee can scope and propose new CSA and ANSI standards to fill those gaps. Third, the committee will continue to monitor trends in critical minerals policy and technology. This includes tracking developments in regulations, supply chains, emerging technologies, and market expectations to help ensure that future standards work remains timely, relevant, and forward-looking. And together, these activities would help position W1030 as both responsive to current needs and proactive in anticipating future standards requirements. Next slide. There are several ways to get involved depending on your level of interest and availability. First, stakeholders can join W1030 Technical Committee, where members directly contribute to the development of standards and help shape priorities and direction. Stakeholders can also engage through CSA Group standards platforms, which provide access to drafts, updates, and ongoing opportunities. And for those who may not be able to participate regularly, there are opportunities to provide input during the public review stage, ensuring your organization's perspective is still considered. And overall, we aim to encourage broad and inclusive participation to ensure that the standards reflect diverse expertise and industry needs. So if you're interested in getting involved or learning more, please feel free to reach out using the contact information provided, which is andrea.tanner@csagroup.org. And next slide. And thank you very much. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have, or if you have any interest in joining.